Hey everybody, Jazzy here. Here is a recap for year 6 of Thrill of the Grill, my solo Warley world over on Twitch. Last year, we killed Fuel Weaver, and we got our second bone armor, mapped out a little bit of the ocean, started building our new pig farm, and cleared the ruins in summer. Heading back up to do our yearly Beardger tree harvest about 5 days into autumn. For whatever bizarre reason, Beardger decided to give us a big ol' yawn and put us right to sleep. I don't know what compelled the guy to yawn in the middle of autumn after waking up from hibernation, but I am now convinced that I can never again approach the insomniac without wearing some bone armor. He could have gotten in like 3 free swipes and we would have been completely powerless to avoid it. You're thankful that you do such an amazing job farming wood, or I would have banished you to an island a long time ago. Day 359, I'm setting up the first of the pig houses with a bait pen in the middle. I decided against an ice fling-o-matic because it seems like the build is safe from wildfires inside the oasis biome. I just need to make sure that my hound defenses are far enough away from it. And around day 362, I move the world into the beta branch of Reap What You Sow. I normally don't mess with the beta for my main world, but this one seemed relatively stable, and the new farms arguably benefit Warley more than any other character. The main reason for this is that he needs farm crops to make 2 of his food seasonings and the majority of his specialty crockpot foods. So I'm willing to make the jump and risk it in order to start messing around with farm plots. And in that regard, the first line of business is to craft a gardener hat and bring it straight to the pseudoscience station and upgrade it into a premier gardener hat. Because most of my board supply has disappeared into cobblestone, much of autumn is going to be spent farming wood. I'm using the 4 stalker on evergreens because we probably won't get another Beardger harvest before the deciduous trees start to lose their foliage. I finally got my mooncolor staff down to 2%, and the last day of autumn I'm deconstructing it to get my first iridescent gem. I'll bring this to the archives next summer and do the Forgotten Knowledge puzzle to get those blueprints. Full moon on day 371 is the first werepig harvest at the new pig farm. I'm gonna be tanking them most of the time if I hope to kill all 16 by the end of the night. Sometimes you get lucky and attack them at just the right time to completely stun lock them. It's a difference of a few ticks, and I'm not sure that there's any way to guarantee it. Regardless, I gotta remember to use Volt Goat Jelly next time I farm them. This will be a very nice harvest of meat, even if I only farm the pigs once every 20 days. And I'm going to be leaning on them a lot more now that Bunnyman drops have been nerfed. I am using Rot for the bait pen, which will eventually turn out to be a mistake, but shh, don't tell past Jazzy just yet. Just let him learn the hard way. On day 372, I'm setting up the new farm plots. Now, I'm going to keep this on the smaller scale for the first build, just something manageable and accessible that I can easily check on and experiment with the new crop system. It's nice that you can make 4 tiles of farm plot with just a single rigamajig. Pales in comparison to the setup cost of traditional farms, and it will be plenty of space to grow tons of crops. The next day, I'm planting the first seeds. At the beginning, we'll only be able to plant generic seeds, but once we get enough crop-specific seeds, we'll be able to do a lot more with crop pairings and larger harvests. Tending and watering these crops will ensure that you get seeds as well as the crop when you harvest. So in the early farming, it will be good to give these plants plenty of attention. Day 374, we get to christen our double bone armor with a no damage Klops kill. It's just one of those yearly battles that's more or less unavoidable if you don't want to cower in the caves all season, so I'm all for getting it out of the way as stress-free as possible. Just wear a Bee Queen crown and tank on top of a dwarf star while switching between 2 bone armors. Easy kill. Day 376, we get to fighting Klaus. Now, I probably should have waited for the Hound Wave, but y'all know I'm really itching for a Krampus by now, so I just jumped into it. And the Hounds attacked mid-fight. This can be dangerous because the hounds will attack the deer, and if one of the deer dies, then Klaus will enrage, and I'd have to restart the fight with another antler. So I'm gonna blow the pan flute to knock everyone out, then try to pick off the dogs before Klaus wakes up. It's a bit messy, but it's much better than praying for the deer to survive. But all's well that ends well. Unless you count the fact that we still have no Krampus. We got an eyeball and some jelly. and this might be the final Klaus we fight outside of Winter's Feast, so the wax paper we have now is going to have to be enough until January. Our first crop harvest is going to give us some carrots, potatoes, pumpkins, and asparagus. We're also getting a seed back, probably because these are in season and I was semi-good with watering and tending. Once we get 4 seeds for each crop, we can plant them in families, which makes it possible to get more seeds and even giant crops. I'm going to use the pumpkins to craft some scarecrows to decorate the farms. We will also need them eventually to get a canary for Misery Toadstool. It's kinda goofy to think that you need to grow a pumpkin to fight this insane endgame boss, but the dude abides. The first giant crop we get is carrots. I'm glad that these can be easily grown considering you're not guaranteed them from bunnymen anymore. I can also grow them in winter. It's gonna be great for farming up more rabbit hutches. So picked oversized crops will last for a while without spoiling, but if you want to keep them forever, then you either need to put them on a scale or rub them with some beeswax. I'm not really interested in getting the biggest sized veggies, but I would like to eventually have a display room of all 14 veggies that could possibly double as storage for each crop and seed. Now I'm ready to start prepping for Albatross. In order to spawn her, I'm gonna fish at a shoal, and those fish respond best to spinner baits. These are some of the best baits in the game and can be crafted at the tackle receptacle. To craft them, we're gonna need flint, a handful of mushrooms, and beefalo wool. I'm out of wool, so I'm heading over to shave some in the savannah. If they're in heat, then they will wake up and attack you when you shave them, but if you wear a beefalo hat, they'll just keep sleeping. Not the kind of thing you want to forget about until that moment when you're standing in the middle of the herd and they all wake up. Anyways, day 391, I'm back home, I'm crafting my spinner baits. I didn't get any blue caps, but we can still use the other baits at night, they just won't be as effective. And this full moon, we get to flex on the wet werepigs with Volt Goat Jelly. 4 hits from a dark sword. Yeah. Spring full moons are going to be the best. Now spring is going to be awesome for farming because the frequent rains are going to keep our crops hydrated. We just need to watch out for weeds because they are much more likely to pop up in spring. Keep a shovel near your farms and dig them up right away so that they won't affect the happiness of nearby crops. Okay, time for some Albatross hunting. I'm crafting an extra boat for this fight because Albatross is going to wreck my beautiful masts with her nosedive, so I want to keep my main boat away. I'm not 100% sure on the way Albatross spawns regularly at these shoals, but I do know that every time you snag a deep bass from these shoals, you have this 10% chance of spawning Albatross. But then again, 10% hasn't been great odds for my Klaus fights, so it's no surprise that after 3 days of fishing, I hadn't spawned Albatross. I decided to head home and let the shoal fill back up with fish, and then we can try again later. Back home, I get my first Lord of the Fruit Flies spawning in my garden. Oh joy. As of the early beta, this bugger had a ton of HP, but thankfully, that has since scaled back. It's still annoying as hell trying to kill it so often, and the little fruit flies, they untend your crops, so you want to clear them out as soon as possible. The silver lining is that you get a friendly fruit fly afterwards that will tend your crops for you. I'm so glad I crafted a one-man band. Day 403, I'm back fishing at the shoal, and this time it did not take long for Albatross to pop out of the water. So let's begin. I'm using a weather pane to re-aggro Albatross every time she retreats back, just to make sure that she doesn't start casting waves. Albatross will drop the occasional feather when hit, so if you're trying to farm feathers, then generally speaking you want to fight with a low damage weapon just to draw out the fight. But I forgot my boat patches to repair my boat, so I'm just gonna push through this fight as quickly as possible. Besides, I'm not really itching for tons of winged sails as much as I am for the new blueprint for the waterfowl can, which has 4 times the watering uses as a standard watering can. This might only need filling once per year unless I end up doing an insane amount of farming. At summer start, I was fighting Antlion when the rain started, which made the sandstorm stop temporarily. I've never experienced this before, but it's awesome luck because now I can wear head armor instead of desert goggles. Antlion will wait to spawn until the sandstorm begins, and that won't happen until the ground dries out after the rain. But once she comes out, she stays out even if the sandstorm pauses. Pretty interesting mechanics. makes me wonder if I could use a telelocator staff to start the rain and then pause the sandstorm for future antlion fights, or just to take a break from the sand overlay if I'm spending my summer at the Oasis. Before I head downstairs, I want to do a moonstone event and get an extra moon collar staff. I got a hound wave right before the event, and I ran away to deal with them. I should have just locked myself in with the moonstone because the event will just turn the entire wave into moon rock, but next time I'll know better. Since Antlion is dead, I'm not in a huge rush to get downstairs. A batch of evergreens are ready, so I sneak in a harvest with a forest stalker. So satisfying when I can line them up to knock them all down in one go. And now, at long last, it's time for some forgotten knowledge. I grab my iridescent gem and journey to the archive biome. In order to turn on the archives, you need to power up the pedestal with an iridescent gem. Now we can grab a single distilled knowledge from each fountain of knowledge, and complete the puzzle at the Orchestrina. This will unlock 3 different blueprints. The collected dust recipe is a bit meh. We can cook it into ambrosia and feed to dust moths for some extra thulecite fragments, but I'm not sure I'd go out of my way to farm thulecite like this. The second recipe is the astral detector, which will help us locate both the celestial sanctum, hiding in the ground on the mainland, as well as the celestial tribute, which will be at Crab King. And then it'll be an infinite light source. What a great use for extra thulecite besides walls. The last blueprint, though, is the real game changer, the Terra Firma Tamper. This is a crafting station that will unlock recipes for most natural turfs in the game, including rocky turf, of which we have very little in our overworld. I am very excited to throw one of these down in my base. While I'm down here, I'm gonna slam some honey pierogies and mine out the entire entryway to the archive biome, which is full of boulders. I'm gonna run out of flint so fast once I start crafting rocky turf, so I might as well stock up on minerals while I'm down here. And it wouldn't be a summer in the caves without an awkward dance with the shadow monkeys. But that's it for year 6. In autumn, we're going to get working on the hermit quests. We're going to try to unlock Pearl's Pearl and all of her trades. Then get ready for our first winter in Winter's Feast. Hooray, laser clops! Just a quick reminder that you can watch every past broadcast from day 1 of this world on the playlist entitled Warly Solo Twitch World. They're unlisted, so they're not going to pop up on your notifications or your homepage, but they're all there on the channel page. I don't monetize these or anything, I just put them there for reference and just so that anyone who missed a stream can enjoy all the uncut gameplay. Anyways, thanks for watching the recap, and I hope to catch you next time live on Twitch. Take care.